Deviant School!
Hi, welcome to Standard Deviant School Spanish. I'm Tessa Monroe.
And I'm Kenyatta Rogers. Our program today is Numbers and Counting. We'll teach you the ins and outs of using numbers in Spanish.
And with the Standard Deviant's approach to learning, it's as easy as uno, dos, tres.
It's pretty good.
Gracias.
Here's what we'll cover. First, we'll teach you the vocabulary we'll use in the program. Then you'll learn how to count from 1 to 1,000,000. Not all at once. We'll start with the basics, 1 to 20, then up to 100. Then we'll teach you to count by thousands and then by millions. And we'll end it with some rules you'll need to know about numbers and gender. Ready? Great, so are we.
Puntos means points.
In Spanish, I'm called a pato.
And lawyers are called abogados.
Dentists are dentistas. Open wide.
We are called plantas.
I am a tostador.
Cups are called tazas.
In Spanish, apples are called manzanas. I'm Johnny Manzana Seed.
Writers are called escritores.
And trees are called árboles.
Timber!
In Spanish, zoo is zoológico. Monkeys are monos, and snakes are culebras. Plátanos is the Spanish word for bananas.
And finally, the word I. I means there is or there are. Like, there's a dog in this scene, or there are over 45 varieties of ice cream, or there's a man on the wing!
I bet you already know the numbers 1 to 10 in Spanish. If not, make sure you learn them because they go under the category of basic essential knowledge.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Bam, and that's it. And now on to, I'm just kidding. We'll do it one more time. This time using numbers with some nouns.
0, 0 puntos.
1, un pato.
2, 2 abogados. 3, 3 dentistas.
4, 4 plantas.
5, 5 tostadores.
6, 6 tazas.
7, 7 naranjas.
8, 8 manzanas.
9, 9 escritores.
10, 10 árboles.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Now, here are the numbers 11 to 20.
11,
12,
13,
14,
15,
16,
17,
18,
19.
20.
To learn the numbers between 20 and 99, you really just have to learn the multiples of 10. You know, 20, 30, 40, and so on. The numbers in between work pretty much like they do in English. You just tack on the single-digit number.
Now let's take a look at the numbers between 20 and 29.
In English, we say 21. In Spanish, you say 21. 22 is 22. 23 is 23. 24 is 24. And the numbers go on like that until you get to 30.
The Spanish word for 30 is 30. 31 is 31. Skipping a bit, 38 is 38, and 39 is 39.
40,
50,
60,
70.
80,
90.
80, everyone. Next number, 23. 23.
Bingo! Yeah! Yeah, that's me! Woohoo!
For the numbers between 100 and 1,000, you just have to memorize the multiples of 100, then tack on the appropriate multiple of 10 and single-digit number. Here, we'll show you. Let's start with 100 through 119.
100, 101, 102.
Whoa, break for a second. There are a couple of things to look at here. First, you don't put the E after the multiples of 100. E only goes between the multiples of 10 and the single-digit numbers. We'll point that out again later. Second, did you notice that 100 is 100, but 101 is 101? and 102 is 102? That's no mistake, folks. That's how it works in Spanish. We'll explain.
When you want to say 100, just 100, the word is cien. For instance, to count from 98 to 100, you'd say 98, 99, 100. You also use cien before a noun when you want to talk about 100 of something. For instance, to say 100 bananas, you'd say 100 plátanos.
When you're counting numbers between 101 and 199, use ciento.
Ciento.
With an O on the end.
If you and your friend go cow tipping and you want to tell your friend how many cows there are in the pasture for your tipping pleasure, you can say, hay 100 vacas, which means there are 100 cows. If you just want to say there are 100, say, hay 100. If there are 101 cows, say, hay 101 vacas. Or you can say, hay 101.
The standard deviants don't endorse cow tipping. It's messy, dangerous, and not very nice.
Now let's run through numbers between 101 and 119. Between 101 and 109, use ciento, with the single-digit number you need, like this.
101, 102, 103, 104, and so on up to 109. It's real easy.
Notice we didn't use y between ciento and the single-digit number. You don't need it there like you do when you tack a single-digit number onto a multiple of 10, like 52, which means 52. Now we'll show you the numbers 110 to 119.
110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120.
Just tack ciento onto the numbers 1 through 99, which you've already learned, right?
Now we'll show you the multiples of 100. Then we'll practice writing some numbers with the multiples of 100.
As we go over them, notice that all the multiples of 100, starting with 200, end in S. That's because when you do a literal translation of the Spanish numbers in the hundreds, you start with 100, then 200s, 300s, 400s. When there's more than 100, you say hundreds in its plural form.
200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900.
Here comes 1,000. The Spanish word for 1,000 is mil. Don't confuse it with the English word million. In Spanish, the thousands work like they do in English. 1,000, 2,000, and so on, like this.
1000, 2000, 3000.
There are two things to notice here. First, when you're talking about more than 1,000, mil doesn't become plural like the hundreds place number does. The thousands place numbers translate like they do in English, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and so on.
The second thing to notice is that when we wrote numbers in the thousands, we used a period instead of a comma after the thousands place. That's the way Spanish speakers generally write the numbers, with periods instead of commas.
It's just another one of those conventions you have to get used to. Here's what 100,000 looks like.
100,000.
100,000 uses cien, which means 100, before mil, which means 1,000. Use the form cien rather than ciento because you're talking about a single hundred.
The number 102,000 would be 102,000. In this case, you use the form ciento for 100. It's just as if you're counting between 101 and 199. Anything over 100 is ciento. With numbers in the thousands, you're just tacking the mil on the end to indicate a number in the thousands.
For the numbers 200,000 and above, use the appropriate multiple of 100 before mil.
200,000, 300,000, 400,000.
400,932. We pitched you a curve with that last number. Remember, you're counting just like we do in English. Just learn the vocabulary. That last number breaks down like this.
400,932.
Howdy, I'm Wild Bill Hickok. You know there are more than Diaz-Mil buffalo that live here on the Great Plains. I've seen them all.
The Spanish word for million is millón. When you get into millions, you have to make millón plural, since you're talking about more than 1 million, like you did with hundreds. The plural of millón is millones. Notice the singular form of the word has an accent and the plural form does not.
1,000,000,000,492,300,945. 65 millones years ago, dinosaurs ruled the earth. In Spanish, every noun has a gender. It's a pretty safe bet to say that if a noun ends in an O, then it's masculine, and if it ends in an A, then it's feminine. Simple, right? But Spanish can be tricky. Not only do these nouns have gender, but once the numbers join with the nouns, the numbers have gender too. Take a look.
Okay, so here's the deal with gender and the number 1. 1 is the loneliest number. No, that's another issue entirely. When you're just counting, like 1, 2, 3, and so on, you say uno for 1. Uno, dos, tres, and so on.
You may think that the masculine form of the number uno is uno since it ends in O. Unfortunately, that's not the case.
When you want to use the number 1 with a masculine noun such as pato, drop the O and just say un pato.
When you use the number 1 with a feminine noun, a noun that ends in an A, use the form una. Una, which also has an A on the end, matches the feminine gender of your noun.
For example, the noun mesa, which is feminine, ends in A. To say one table, say una mesa. To say one ant, say una hormiga. It's very simple, really. Just make the A's match.
So essentially, there are 3 ways to say the number 1, and you have to pick the right one depending on what form you need.
If you're just counting, say uno. If you're using the number 1 as an adjective modifying a masculine noun, say un. And if you're using it to modify a feminine noun, say una. Got that?
There's a gender issue with the numbers between 200 and 900. When you use these numbers before a noun, the hundreds place number has to agree in gender with the noun. Only the hundreds place number has to agree in gender. Here's an example.
Hay 216 monos y 642 culebras en el zoológico.
Let's look closely at how the number 216 works with the noun monos.
How do we do that? We do it by ending the word with os. The S is always there since we're talking about 200s, and the O makes it masculine. Notice it's only the multiple of 100 that has to match in gender with a noun. None of the other components of the number change to match gender. Now we'll look at the number 642 as it's used with the noun culebras.
Culebras, which means snakes, is feminine, so we end 600 or 600 with AS. The A makes it feminine to match culebras, and the S makes it plural. Only 600 has to match in gender with culebras. 42 does not.
We'll say it one more time. The hundreds places between 200 and 900 will always be plural, so they will always end in S. Just make the ending AS to go with a feminine noun,
Or OS to go with a masculine noun. Whoa, that was a lot of counting. Let's review. The numbers from 1 to 10 in Spanish are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. To count from 10 to 100 by tens, you do it like this. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Thousands are 1000, 2000, 3000, and so on. Millions are millón, 2 millones, 3 millones, and to infinity.
That's all the time we have for Spanish.
Thanks for watching Standard Deviant School. I'm Kenyatta Rogers.
And I'm Tessa Monroe. Take care. Bye. Adios.